and welcome to the Sector 1 Motorsport podcast in partnership with Formula Careers. On today's episode, I am joined by a social media manager who has spent most of his time working within World Rallycross. Please welcome Emils Grintas. Emils, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm well, just happy to be here and share a bit of my experience and talk to you.
So, for those who may not be familiar with yourselves, who aren't on LinkedIn, could you introduce yourself in the best way possible?
Yeah, so I'm Emils. And as you said, I'm a social media manager with an experience around 5 years or so. And previously, I've been working with a lot of companies and drivers, but probably the most memorable are Nicholas Gronholm in World Rallycross Championship, Jerick Set World Rallycross team, and just with a fresh off from a big project, which was WRC Test Rally Latvia. So those probably are the main ones I should mention.
And where did your love of motorsport begin? Where did that passion ignite?
It's basically from my childhood. I remember as a kid, I used to go to some autocross races here in Latvia. Nothing professional, just for fun. Um, so I got into it. Then my fellow Latvian driver, Reinis Nitish, so he started doing World Rally Cross Championship. And I slowly started to, get the feel of it, get the hang of it, and get into it. Yeah, that was the start of the an amazing journey, I would say.
And did you always want to work within motorsport?
It was probably a dream, but I somehow thought it is difficult to get into it. Let's be real, but yeah, I was kind of, you know, I just came off from a fresh bachelor's degree this year. So I studied business logistics, which isn't really media. So, when I was coming off from high school, I was like, which direction do I go? So I chose logistics, but I somehow found my heart and my beliefs in media. So that's a small cool story, I would say.
So when did you start to switch over from knowing, business logistics, not really for me, I want to be doing something more creative? When did you realize that?
I actually realized it before, which is even more, yeah, funnier. I think I got my first job in social media in 2019, so I was 17 years old then. And it all started when I started my own rallycross page. So I somehow paved my own way, yeah, to get into social media.
So then did you just finish off the degree for the sake of having a degree?
Yeah, pretty much.
Ticking a box.
Yeah, I was, some years into it, and it's still what I like to say, it's still in the business side. So if we
Yeah.
take off logistics, business is always there.
Yeah.
So it's somehow still good.
Let's go back to when you were 17 then. Talk about how you started this page and that kind of got your foot in the door. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so as I said before, I was just a real rallycross fanatic, I would say. I loved it. I still love it. Nothing has changed. So one day I was just, I don't know, just, a teenager scrolling through my phone, and I got this idea that I should start a page. Just out of nowhere, had no idea what Instagram is like, what social media is like. So I started to post kind of news and stuff like that, just, after events and pre-events, and it was all not in a good level. When I'm looking back now to the beginning, obviously I didn't know what I was doing. So I started to get into it. I started to gain some following because rallycross is quite a niche sport. It's not like F1 or WRC, with a very big following. But then some those current drivers at that time, so they started to follow that page, even the names like Peter Solberg or Oliver Solberg, and it started to kind of be in the community. So that was my first step into it. And then, yeah, as I said, at 17, I landed my first job. It was for Rally X Nordic Latvia. So there was a Latvian round of that championship, and they wanted me, yeah, to take over these social media accounts, and that was my first real job in social media.
So I'm going to assume most people listening and watching right now will kind of know what it means to work in social media. But for those who maybe aren't so sure, what actually is the job of a social media manager?
Well, I like to say that the job, if you are getting into social media, the job never ends. Even when you're just scrolling through your phone in your free time, you're still thinking about work, you're still thinking about trends and stuff like that. But obviously, it's a lot of things put together. So we can, I guess, look from different perspectives. So one is the strategic side, where you create a social media strategy, you create a calendar, you create everything that aligns with that and with the companies, teams, drivers, whatever goals, what their own goals are to put the brand in front. And then there is this creative side. And it's different social media managers are working differently, obviously. I'm a bit of a social media creator as well. So I do a bit of, graphic design or some easy peasy, graphic things and stuff like that. So I think it's a big combination of everything. And you're always learning. There's always something new. The algorithms are changing massively. With TikTok just coming in a couple of years ago, everyone switched to the vertical videos, for example. So, but I think that's fun about it, that you don't have a routine, I would say, because there's always something new, and yeah, a lot of things are happening at the same time.
See, I'm quite a creative person too. I like the fact things are always changing, but I also do really appreciate my routine. I like things to happen in a specific order. Is it ever annoying that it doesn't stay the same?
It is because
Yeah.
sometimes yeah, it is. I'll be honest. Sometimes you create a good post, or you think that's gonna be a hit. That's hundreds of thousands of views or something, and it goes absolutely nowhere because the algorithm has again changed, or it's just we live in that era right now, I think, where it's just important to be different, for the brand to be different, but at the same time you have to kind of be in the same wave as the others to reach something. So yeah, as I said before, social media managers never stop working, and that is one of the reasons why.
Do you ever crave a break from social media, or is it just simply your life now?
I would say it's simply my life. But I love it. I can't say it. Like in summer, I went on a vacation to Montenegro, absolutely beautiful country. If you haven't visited, I recommend. So I went there. I did take a vacation, from my main job, but I still have some other side hustles. I would call them like that. And obviously, I still had to put in a couple of hours or minutes per day to just get some things done because I have some, agreements and everything. So I can't really go off the grid and just disappear, especially if I'm the only social media person for that respective company or driver. So, but it's not like I'm overwhelmed. I think it's just time management. So, yeah, that works.
Good work-life balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about managing social media then, because you said you've worked with drivers, but you've also worked with teams. How different is that working with a driver and then going to working with a team? Is it a big difference there?
Um, yes and no. As a well, when running drivers' social media, you obviously want to put yourself first, but you can't forget about a team. Um, so it's in that case, it is a bit different because you kind of, yeah, you want to show off, but you still want to say thanks in regards to the team and stuff like that. And obviously the difference could be in my cases, I've always when I'm worked with drivers in the first person. I'm writing I, me, and stuff like that, which is a bit weird because
I won the
there are
race.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, I came in, I don't know, P2 this race, it's a bit weird in that area. So it's that is a big difference. But social media wise, you just get onto it. You kind of adapt where you need to adapt. So I don't see Well, it is different, yeah, in some perspectives, but it's still social media. You still want to do good. You kind of, yeah, you just work with I think a bit of a different view, but nothing major.
Would you describe your job as like very high pressure?
At times, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, this summer when we hosted the first WRC event here in Latvia, well, the rally week, it was intense. I will say how it is, with very few hours of sleep because you need to post a lot of things. A lot of stuff is happening. It's the first time there are mentions coming in like quicker than I can think at some points. So there was a lot of work. Um, but it's still, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, as it was that time, you think it was worth it, You did something absolutely brilliant and our numbers were great for our following and stuff like that. So yes, you get exhausted at times. You just push through it, I would say.
I was going to ask, you mentioned numbers there, getting good numbers for the amount of followers you have. How important are the numbers in a role like yours? That is the way you manage performance, I guess, and you see how well you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. It's been different, working with different companies, teams, organizations. So everyone have their own goal. There are some that really don't care about numbers. They just want to be active. They want to engage with the fans and with the community and get new people in. But for example, as for the WRC one, we obviously had to boost sales that way as well. So it was important to reach numbers and like right now, well, not anymore, but just a week ago, we were still working on a report, and it was important to get, the big numbers out there, and they were real. We still we did great, but yeah, I think it depends what is the goal for the brand because it's not always just the reach. Sometimes it's other things, and yeah, that's why it's important to work together with a brand or company and understand what's their goal for the social media.
So you've spoken about how you've worked across lots of different accounts, sometimes at the same time. Is it difficult having to kind of switch your voice to fit someone else's tone that they need? Is that a struggle, or do you kind of do it automatically now?
I would say I do it automatically. When I switch from one to other, I'm like switching my personality with it, I would say. So yeah, it's there was this one time I was working briefly with like a flower shop, you know. Oh, well, that was interesting. You go from sports where it's
Yeah.
cars, racing action, and you go to something like flowers and it's a
Pretty
bit
flowers.
yeah, you have to be, light and breezy. So that was interesting, but it was still doable. So you do have to, adapt, but yeah, it's nothing terrible, I would say.
Have you posted on the wrong account yet? Meaning to post on someone else's and done it on like your own account or anything?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
but it was so I wanted to post for another account and I posted on my personal. So thankfully it wasn't the end of the day. The end of the world, sorry. I managed to delete it quickly, but yes, it was one time though. The others I follow it very thoroughly now to see that's the right account, right Facebook and everything. So
I spoke to a commentator the other day, and he was having to manage social media of one of the championships he commentates on. And he posted something on his personal account. And then before he'd realised, he quickly posted on the other account, but he didn't delete it. And the post ended up doing better on his personal account than it did the brand account. So I feel like that's your nightmare.
Yeah, it is a nightmare, but that's what I was saying about, social media. You never know which post is gonna go better. Yeah, but it happens. I think whenever you speak with a social media manager, they just tell you, yeah, it has happened like 90% of the time for the people. It's how it is sometimes.
You've mentioned it already. You need to kind of engage with your community based on whatever account you're managing. How do you do that best? What is the most effective way of engaging the fans, building a good community for a page?
I think it's well for the first, no, the most important thing probably is to understand, what's the community like. Whether that's close fans, whether that's just, random people who see your posts and they like the content and they commentate and stuff like that. For example, these last few months when I've been working with that driver, we also kind of started to integrate some memes in especially on Instagram and Facebook because he wanted to take it, lightly and people love to laugh about things. But sometimes it's just I don't know, you like that comment. It doesn't take anything from you. You respond something, with a question back, so there's a kind of conversation. Or for Rally Latvia, we had these, I don't know, 20 or something episodes, so we had this Be Like Yanis. So it's a Latvian creator, I think, a Latvian man, so a standard rally fan. And people were, and we, yeah, so he was sitting in the same place all the time, waiting for the rally. And people were starting to get it. They were all like, oh, yeah, be like Yanis, even when we weren't posting about that. So it's just kind of getting something out there. And yeah, and just being active and engaging with them, just as I said, a quick comment or a like, that's sometimes that means very much for the followers.
Yeah, I was going to say I've grown up a fan of motorsports, of loads of different things, and even just a like from the team, it does make you happy. It does
Yeah.
excite you, and then you have the urge to screenshot that and post that on your story and tag them again. It's just an ending cycle. So I bet that's a dream for you to have that kind of reaction.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And sometimes I remember just it was on TikTok. I think there was I think it was a Latvian boy, so making some content about Rally Latvia. So I went on to repost it on TikTok from Rally Latvia's account, and he was very happy because we commented as well. It's just the little things, just yeah, what makes the community better, I would say.
Do you think because you started as just a fan of the sport, that puts you in almost a better position to do your job well?
I would say yes, because I kind of understand what the fans feel like. I know what they want to see at some points. When I was working with the World Rallycross team, I wanted okay, I was like a, I don't know, just a fish in a sea of sharks or something like that. I was very young then, but still, I wanted to show something from behind the scenes. So how it's all working, in the paddock, in the team, and how it's going on. Because sometimes it's what fans don't see. They just don't see what's actually going on behind the scenes. How many, work is put in to get those cars fixed, get them out there, and give us the good action on track. So I think I don't want to, say it's an advantage over someone else, but I do think it gives a bit different perspective, I guess.
It gives you a bit of an edge. You kind of know what you'd like to see, so you can put that into play
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now we've spoken about how social media, it's one of those things which is constantly evolving. It's probably never going to stop evolving. It's just going to keep on going, new trends, new platforms. How do you stay ahead of that and keep the content fresh and relevant when you're working in such a fast-paced environment?
Yeah, I think it's, as I said, I think at the beginning, it's just constant scrolling, and sometimes when social media managers, they say, oh, I'm walking, and they're scrolling, they are walking, they're looking for ideas, they're looking for something. But as for me, it's sometimes just, obviously you follow what's going on, you follow what trends can you hop on and stuff like that. But sometimes it's just the ideas, for some fun content or for something fresh, they just come, they come out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, obviously you follow what's happening. Just there are a lot of accounts out there who post information like that. There are a lot of social media related platforms where you can learn a lot of new things. There are courses, there are everything for, yeah, that's needed. So you have to kind of find your own way, I guess, what works better for you. I mean, you can always also open YouTube. There's literally everything. So yeah, there's a lot of ways how to follow it, and just I can't necessarily say you can always be ahead, just because there are some big accounts who always will take the lead on that, but you can always do good. Yeah, without, I guess, copying content, just kind of giving your own edge or your own original view on something.
Is it difficult to not copy good content?
Uh, yeah, I mean, you sometimes really, as a social media manager, you look at something and you see, okay, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. That's an amazing video, post, whatever. But you kind of, as I said before, you need to still adapt it to your own niche, to your own brand, and that's why you can't always hop onto everything. It's just not relatable at some points. I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's still, yeah, it takes a bit of thinking, I guess, to kind of put something original in it, because obviously there are accounts, they are, getting ideas from each other. That's just how it works. You still have to, yeah, create your own path, somehow.
Now, no job comes without its challenges. So I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced during your career so far?
Okay, well, that is a question. Um, I think it probably isn't a challenge, but as for my, personality, I very get used to things and people and stuff like that. So I'm always sad to say goodbyes. Because you kind of grow with them. You start to feel like a work family. And that is one thing. But that's probably happening in every niche. Um, I don't know, like the challenges, there are always challenges. And probably I could mention that sometimes it's not as much of a challenge, but just I guess an anger or something, that you create a good post, you create brilliant post, and it just doesn't go anywhere, and you need to kind of understand why. And obviously there are sometimes, if you're working together with some other people, you need to be on the same page. Yeah, that's I mean, I don't really want to talk about yeah, probably other people, but that's been challenging at some points, because
Yeah.
you kind of look from different perspectives, so you have to find um the middle path, I would say, to yeah, to get the brand out there, and do what's best for the brand, even if it means, your own opinion should be overruled.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned there about how you can make a really great post and it just absolutely flops. Do you ever find that the posts you spend literally minutes making, and it was just a flyaway idea, but you figure it out, you work it out, and that ends up doing amazing, but the thing you spent a week making just flops? Do you have that happen a lot?
It has definitely happened, and and sometimes you're just sitting, you're like, why? You still, you want to understand, because, for example, there was last week, so it was yeah, at the end of the September Rally Chile, and I was still working with the Tet Rally Latvia accounts. So in one of the stages, the Latvian driver lost his rear wing to his car. So I was immediately getting up to, I had an idea. I had to post something. And as you said, it was like a minute, 2 minutes walk to get it out there. So I made a missing like a missing poster
Yeah.
for that wing, and it went well on Twitter. And sometimes, yeah, as you said, you just work, you literally spend hours, to put something good. You send it back and forth to designer or to the videographer and video editor, and it goes nowhere. And I think it's, well, probably sometimes it's just you get into the right time, you have an idea, it's still actual, it's still people are talking about it anyways, and you kind of get into it. And sometimes, yeah, you just you missed your moment, probably. It's how it is in socials.
Just the way it goes, unfortunately, I guess. You spoke there about sending designs back and forth, speaking to videographers. How important is that to be a good team player in your role?
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, there have been jobs when I'm basically left alone, to deal with all the things, starting from content creation, strategy, and everything. And it's still doable. Obviously, you can't do as much as you would like to, But when working with a design team or designers, however it is in the situation, you still need to be very brief and very detailed about what's your view on that specific poster, graphic, whatever that is, because you don't want to spend a lot of time, going back and forth, because it's a waste of time, and sometimes you can miss that opportunity to post at a good time. But I think it's just sometimes there was this one saying, I don't remember who said it, but sometimes it's better to post something close to perfection than wait for the post to be perfection and post it. Um, yeah, so you just have to kind of be there, communicate well. I think it's like that probably in every profession. You
Yeah.
don't want an unnecessary drama, or it's just not worth it.
Let's talk about the big thing in any motorsport job, networking. I love it, but I also severely hate it. Networking, what are your thoughts on networking?
Well, I'm actually quite an introvert. So
Mhm.
I don't in general, I don't I'm not the, most open person, and not the easygoing one who just can chat with everyone and stuff like that. I mean, but I still sometimes I force myself to do it because I do care, I do want to meet those people and get to know them. But it's as you said, yeah, you can love it and hate it at the same time, and it's how it is. You just look up, I don't know, LinkedIn right now. It's crazy what's happening there. There are people going in all the directions. You just sat there like, how do you know each other? Like, it's weird, but it's also very important, I guess, because yeah, in my recent experience, I have met, some great people. I got to work with a great videographer in Raleigh, Latvia, and like a WRC promoter, social media manager. So I think it's very important, whether that's, just because you're friendly, or usually it is that, but there are you just contacts get you a lot of things, and to a lot of places. Let's be real, it's just how it is nowadays. And there are a lot of ways how to kind of network, and probably LinkedIn is the biggest one out there for now. But yeah, I guess you just have to be open. You have to kind of be friendly with people, and just sometimes it's a bad thing as well, because when I get to know people, I'm like, yeah, we're friends and stuff like that. Because usually, yeah, I'm very friendly with even strangers. So yeah, I agree. You can love it and hate it, but it's still very important.
And looking at the roles you've worked in, how did they come about? Were they through contacts, the stereotypical application process, or you kind of just jumping in and asking, saying, "Hey, I'm here. Let me work for you, please." How did they come about?
Um, yeah, I think wherever I've got now, up until this point, it was because I kind of knew the people. So I landed my first job because, yeah, they kind of reached out to me. But after that, it was this one guy, Viestus, who was working in that place at the time, who got me the GRX set World RX team role. And from then on, it went, there was a mechanic who was working in GRX set, but his wife was a CEO of another company, and then I landed that team. So it's how it goes. You meet people. Obviously, I've had some jobs where I've just applied and got, but up until this point, they've not been in sports. They've been in different industries. Um, yes, because I think it's very tough out there in the sports industry if you just apply and you don't have anyone backing you, because there's especially let's talk Formula One. There's so many people who want to work in Formula One, and the applications, I just can't assume it's, they're never ending probably. And you have to stand out in probably hundreds or thousands of people. So it is very important to know people, Um, but also you have to, be kind of confident about yourself, about your abilities. And if you do believe in yourself, then go and put your name out there, you know, whether that's LinkedIn or whether that's an email to someone.
Mhm. Now, looking at your career overall, what is your proudest achievement so far? And don't say that missing persons tweet for a front wing.
That was a good one. Um, I don't know, like when I work with within within sports, I always do care what about the team and about the driver. I think in general, probably the highest point I've reached is the WRC Latvia one because I was the lead social media person. It was basically all on my shoulders, with a brief help from someone else. And I think it's just I'm proud and happy what we reached because our following wasn't good, but I got the job done. I reached out to some people to get some collabs, and stuff like that, which very much helped. But at the same time, like 2021 was the one year I was working with the GRX Southwold RX team. So I got to travel around Europe, which was also cool. So I don't think there's one post I could tell you which is my, proudest because I do like what I do and I think it's in a good level. But yeah, I just like I just like to work with them,
Yeah.
I do actually get some pride and happiness with out of it.
And what's the goal for you? What would the absolute dream be? That reaching the end of your career, what would you have liked to have achieved?
I think as a sports fan, you do always want to get and work into Formula One. And it is also my goal at some point in my career, but you know, I'm not uh I'm kind of not showing off any other, things because I would like to enjoy like working from the championship side. 'Cause so I've worked with drivers, I've worked with teams, I worked with organizers of a local round, but I would like to explore and kind of experience how it is. I know WRC promoter, for example, when you're actually working for the championship or World RX. And then I think it's just step by step, kind of climbing up and yeah, I just, as you said, at the end of my career, I just want to look back and I'm like, yeah, I've been there, and there's F1 as well. Yeah,
Amazing. Now, we've been asking all of our guests this because it's always great to kind of get an idea. If you could speak to maybe a 10-year-old version of yourself now, what would you say to him?
I'm actually going to my primary school tomorrow to have yeah, to kind of give them a presentation about me.
I
So this
love
is,
that. That is my dream to be invited back to my school to give a talk. That is amazing.
yeah,
You've officially made it.
yeah, right. So I still have to make that presentation though, but I think it's probably if you believe it, do it. You know, there's no one setting you back than just yourself. And I've found it out, yeah, by myself that, I'm the biggest hurdle there is for myself because I do think you can do absolutely everything if you want to and if you put the work and energy in it. So I would say, yeah, just it's cliche, yes, but follow your dreams and be you doing what you want to do.
And finally, for people looking to get into a similar career as you were in, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I think there's, yeah, the social media in sports. It's a tricky concept because there's a lot of competition for that. But I think, as I said before, and I probably will say it again, you just have to put yourself out there. You have to kind of show the things you can do. You have to talk to people, network. Um, but there is no, I just want to say to others, because, I could be in this situation just listening and I'm like, yeah, yeah, what do I have to do? What are the steps? But I would say there's no equal paths. You kind of do have to figure it out by yourself because yes, there are some people who can help you, but still it takes you the time to get to know them. I know there's a lot of, not a lot of, but some volunteering opportunities out there, even for social media, or it's an internship or something like that. I think it's brilliant if you're still, studying or just fresh out of uni and you want to do something like that. I think it's brilliant just to kind of taste the waters and understand if that's even for you. Yeah, so just put yourself out there, get to know people, and do LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, as always, is the best advice out there. Emils, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best, and we hope we will see you being our admin in the Formula One world one day. And thanks everyone else for tuning in, listening, and watching. We'll be back with a career talk again very, very soon.